Caleb Carlson set to kick it away for Team Wake Forest in the black uniforms. Donavon Greene back to receive for Team Demon Deacons. Lets it skip through the end zone. And folks, as far as spring football goes, this is about as close to a real game as you're going to get. The first half is basically all a real game. We get a normal clock. We get 15-minute quarters. It's tackle football too, Mike, which is somewhat rare, I feel like, in these games.
Yeah, it's good for us, good for the fans to see that we're going to watch a real football game. It's going to be, not a running clock. They're going to stop the ball after incompletions. They're going to be tackling. Quarterbacks are not going to be live, which is to be expected. And we're going to see the ones versus ones. A lot of times you see the one offense go against the two defense. This is going to be a competitive environment for these guys.
Yeah, the team wearing black, Wake Forest, won the toss and deferred. So Team Demon Deacons starts with a football, and we get to see first-team offense against first-team defense to start. Here's Mitch Griffis, officially QB1 this year. Throwing on the run, incomplete through the hands of his intended target. That was Wesley Grimes, the sophomore from Raleigh.
Intended for number 81.
And right away, we see the athleticism that Mitch Griffis brings to the offense. He can probably escape in the pocket even better than Sam Hartman. And all pregame warmups, I saw him working on those throws on the run, and he does it really well. Should have been caught there for a big gain.
You see that slow mesh. Griffis is comfortable with it. His pass broken up, trying to hit Donavon Greene. Kalen Carson on the coverage to bring up third down and 10. And Mike, that's the fascinating thing about this Wake Forest program, right, is that slow mesh.
It really is. And, being a guy coming from the NFL, I know some about the RPO game, which really started in college, but you don't see any of this at the pro level. And they've really put their stamp on it. And I don't see anyone else doing it across college football. It seems like they have the secret sauce and what it takes to run this slow mesh offense that no one else has quite figured out.
On third and 10, you saw the mobility of Griffis, gain of 5, pushed out by Quincy Bryant. Again, first-team offense, first-team defense on the first possession. An advantage to the defense to start.
And that was a nice play by Kalen Carson right there. They had that kind of slow mesh, that deep slant, and he gloved the receiver, got his hand on it, and was able to break it up.
So Jaden Girard back to return the punt. As we are a minute into Wake Forest spring game. Beautiful day here in Winston-Salem, mid-70s, partly cloudy. New turf here at Truist Field as well. Girard will return the Ivan Mora punt. And a flag comes in as Girard skips out of bounds. Looks like they blew it dead. A 41-yard punt. And we'll check the penalty.
Flag on the play.
Going to return. Holding. Return team. Number 45. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So here's Michael Kern leading that second-team offense. Kern, another guy who's been in the program, redshirt junior from Orlando. He'll lead the second-teamers out there wearing the black jerseys, representing Team Wake Forest.
Yeah, and he played more in 2020 than he did the past two seasons when Mitch Griffis kind of stepped in and became the backup. But Dave Clawson feels really good about him. You mentioned the transfer portal earlier. They didn't go in the portal to get a starter. He doesn't want to go in the portal to get the backup. So he really likes what Michael Kern brings to this team. Smart kid, and has played sparingly in the past, but he feels really good about his 1-2 punch at quarterback.
A good run from Will Towns to start this drive. Andre Hodge with the tackle for Wake Forest. The second-team defense out there for the Demon Deacons wearing the white jerseys. It's Towns again. Patient run, and he's twisted down maybe a yard ahead of the line of scrimmage. So Towns, when the second-team offense is out there, Mike, that's when we'll really get a good idea of the backfield, because there's a lot of flux running the football. Justice Ellison we won't see today. Nothing major, we're told, just holding him out for precautionary reasons. Outside of him, Griffis was their top rusher last year in terms of attempts, who's back. Here Towns catches it out of the backfield. Nice throw from Kern. Good catch from the running back for the first down.
Yeah, Will Towns stepped in against Louisville last year. The game was kind of out of hand, but he did a good job when he stepped in right here. Good job by Kern. He sees his running back open in the flat. Get it to him now so he can get up and get the first down.
Again, it's the slow mesh. And Towns on the call. Shifty run, blown up a yard short of the first down as they are across midfield. Devon Patterson on the tackle for the white jerseys.
Gain of 9 yards.
You talk about Justice Ellison, but they also lost Christian Turner to Indiana, Quentin Cooley to Liberty. So they're going to be looking for who's going to be that number 2 running back behind Justice Ellison. Can Will Towns step up and be the guy? Is it Damon Claiborne, who we've heard a lot about as a recruit? But this is a good opportunity for Will Towns, a young running back, to show what he can do in this live football environment.
There's Drew Pickett, first carry for the freshman out of Seal, Alabama, eastern part of the state.
Drew Pickett with the carry.
And Towns, after 4 touches to start for 28 total yards, gets a breather as Pickett comes in. They're moving the ball here.
They are. A lot of the run game, you kind of seen it all, though. You see the slow mesh. You saw on the third down they converted it with the pass. But they're kind of having their way up front right now.
First down at the 40. Kern pulls and completes. Christian Green on the catch, no relation to Donavon Greene.
Kern just passes.
First team wide receiver Christian Green, redshirt sophomore from Ashburn, Virginia, makes it 2nd and 1.
2nd and 1 from the 31.
They've got an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. Even here on the second team offense, so much talent. Here's Pickett on the carry, waits and finds some space. Pickett with a stiff arm inside the 25. And it was Devon Patterson again on the tackle.
Drew Pickett with the carry.
Patterson gets some attention from the staff. When we talked with Dave Clausen yesterday, asked him, what does a successful spring game look like? He said, healthy. Just getting out healthy. So we hope Devon Patterson's okay here. Patterson, the freshman from North Jacksonville, Florida. 3-star recruit, much 38 in white.
Drew Pickett with a gain of 8 yards for another first down.
Didn't see exactly what happened there. Is it a leg injury, ankle, knee? Like you said, they just want to get out of this game healthy. Not what you want to see on the second drive.
Pickett on the swing pass out of the backfield. These running backs have been uber busy and uber successful on this drive for the second team offense, Pickett and Will Towns.
Pickett for a gain of 3 yards.
There's Patterson getting some extra attention on the sideline. Again, new turf here at Truist Field. A little more cushion. Might look a little different on your TV, too. Kern keeps. That is batted down. Is that a fumble? It's a loose ball. Picked up by Team Demon Deacons. And they're going the other way. This could be 6 for the defense. Zamari Stevenson. Welcome to Winston-Salem. Jaylen Hudson forced the fumble on the strip sack. And it is a scoop and score for Team Demon Deacons.
Usually rule number 1 in spring games is stay away from the guy in the green jersey. But he gets his arm on it. That's a fumble. That ball was coming out before his arm was going forward. Great job with the scoop and score to take it the rest of the way for this white team. Ball is out.
And Stevenson scoops it, takes it 78 yards for the touchdown. They are fired up about number 17. On the quote-unquote second team unit today, but should play a whole lot this fall. Sophomore out of Statesville, North Carolina. Here's Matthew Dennis on for the extra point. 7-0 Team Demon Deacons. Jaylen Hudson on the strip. Zamari Stevenson picks it up and takes it the distance.
Look at Jaylen Hudson come around, get his arm up. This guy has moved positions, actually. He's now playing that Deacon role, that hybrid, that defensive line. Great job right there for the touchdown.
Zamari Stevenson has contributed the first 7 points of Wake Forest spring game. Team Demon Deacons wearing the white jerseys over Team Wake Forest. The strength of this program outside of Sam Hartman the last few years has been the receiver position. Think about guys like Sage Surratt, Craig Dortch, Jacory Roberson, A.T. Perry last year. They've got a lot of guys coming back. Donavon Greene, Taylor Morin. They were tied for Fourth place in the ACC last year in receiving touchdowns. They're excited about Keyshawn Williams in the slot and a couple newcomers as well. As the Wake Forest offense, second-team offense, wearing the black jerseys, is back out there following the scoop and score for the second-team defense, the white team. You see Adi Confessor, new wide receivers coach for Wake Forest, taking over for Kevin Higgins, who moves into a new role as general manager. Confessor comes in after spending the last 4 years at Air Force. They won 3 bowl games over Power 5 opponents. He was a 2-time All-American at Holy Cross. As Griffis, check that, Kern throws, and that's incomplete, trying to find Christian Green to bring up third down. But really, that's the only change in the offensive staff in the last 10 years for Wake Forest, Mike, which is insane.
I found that absolutely fascinating, that they have not had any turnover, and that Dave Clawson let those 4 receivers we just talked about be in on the interview process because he has so much trust in them and what they're looking for. He said, I'm not going to give you the right to hire the coach, but I'll let you veto it. And they love what they have in their new receiver coach. But I thought that was powerful to show the belief he has in the players and how much he trusts their opinion on this new hire. First time in 10 years, that's absolutely incredible.
That was A.K. Kelly, one of the wide receivers under Coach Confessor, as the coaches have to switch sidelines when the ball changes possessions. You see Confessor still looks like he could suit up. He was a great player back in the day, 2-time All-American again at Holy Cross. He played in the Arena Football League as well. He was a player in the same league as Dave Clawson's Fordham Rams, so those guys go way back. And Confessor, they believe, the right guy to take over that wide receiver room. Matthew Dennis, the kicker, punts it away. Ian Versteeg, the freshman wide receiver, calls for the fair catch just outside the 30. But going back to what you were talking about, Mike, the fact that 4 wide receivers were in the room for the interviews and they had the veto power over their potential position coach. I mean, have you ever heard of that before in college football?
Not, especially at the college level. I mean, that's the type of power that you hear Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady winning. You don't typically hear that at the college level, but he said that they were absolutely crushed when Kevin Higgins told them that he was going to move to this off-the-field role, that he wanted them to be involved in it, and they've earned it with their play on the field and what they've done for Wake Forest. I mean, if there's one thing about this program over the past decade or so, you think of St. Martin, and the second thing you think of is this receiver group. It's the deepest receiver group in the ACC, and on top of those 4 guys, they also have transfer from Tennessee, Walker Merrill, and they also have Wesley Grimes, the young guy, highly recruited out of Raleigh, that they're excited about. So they feel great about 6 players at that position, and that's why you see a lot of 4 receiver sets. They get in that 10 personnel where it's only 1 back with no tight ends, 4 receivers, because they want to get their best players on the field, and that's at their receiver position.
Yeah, one of them is Donavon Greene, who couldn't haul in that pass from Mitch Griffis, setting up third down and long. But, yeah, we asked Coach Clawson, hey, you lose A.T. Perry, but you got 4 guys you're really comfortable with, right? He goes, actually, we got 6 guys we're really comfortable with, maybe even more. Griffis throws, cuts it loose, up the right sideline, incomplete. There is Wesley Grimes, 81, their top recruit in the class of 2022. Good coverage from Jamari Glasker, 32, who they are really excited about.
Very good coverage right here by Glasker. You see the trust that Mitch has. He's got off coverage on a go route, but he's still going to throw it up to Grimes. And that's really good coverage. It's close to maybe face guarding, but he gets away with it there, and he's running step for step with him.
Glasker, the redshirt freshman out of Maryland. That's back-to-back 3-and-outs for the first-team offense for Wake. The edge goes to the first-team defense. Again, good on good here today in the Wake Forest spring game. Ivan Moore to kick it away. That might have been blocked in a real game. Jaden Gerard, no return on the fair catch right on top of the black and gold ACC logo. Defense looks good for the Demon Deacons to start midway through this first quarter.
We'll see who they end up with. Like you said, it was Stroud had the buzz, but coming into the final moments, we're hearing more about Bryce Young.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Michael Kern leading the second-team offense completes to A.K. Kelly. Mike, I know you know the position really well. Who would you take first?
You know what? I know the size is a concern. I've never seen him in person, but I've heard he's a small guy. But I like Bryce Young. I mean, the guy can absolutely play. He's athletic. He throws it well. He's been in an NFL system with Bill O'Brien. You can tell he processes information at a high level. So he has all the traits you're looking for, but the size is a legit concern. Can he stay healthy? Can he see over the line? If on the Panthers, I'm taking Bryce Young at 1.
Yeah, he did take a photo with ESPN's Mina Kimes, and I think he was shorter than she was. She might have been wearing heels, though, but still. Bryce Young, though, Heisman winner, such a dynamic player. We'll see what happens in the draft. I know Wake Forest fans will be excited to see where A.T. Perry goes, wide receiver, who's projected as a likely day 2 pick. Ryan Smenda last year at 117 tackles, the linebacker, also draft eligible. And we have an injured offensive player for Wake Forest. That's Team Wake Forest wearing the black jerseys today. Second team offense, first team defense.
Let's see what happened here. Does he get rolled up on? Yep. From behind, he gets rolled up on. 2 in the first quarter. Definitely not what Clawson's going to be wanting to see to start this game.
It's Michael Frug, the tight end redshirt sophomore out of Greensboro. Again, the one thing coaches will tell you, Dave Clawson echoed it this week, is a successful spring game equals just getting out of it healthy. And especially considering how closely this resembles a real college football game, they're just hoping that they can escape unscathed, and it looks like Frug is not too badly injured as he walks off.
Injured offensive player number 86, Michael Frog.
Harry Lodge, 89. Also listed as a tight end on Team Wake Forest today. 7 points on the board came from a scoop and score for the second team defense on the field now. Look out, there is Lodge. All alone, Harry Lodge, touchdown, Team Wake Forest. 55 yards to the tight end.
Right here, this is a great job by Kern. The middle of the field just opens wide up, and he finds his tight end right down the seam. Obviously a blown coverage by this defense, but a good job by Kern finding his guy, and he's able to go the rest of the way for a long touchdown.
Matthew Dennis, redshirt sophomore from Charlotte, out to add the extra point. Dennis has kicked the extra point for both sides today. 7-7, the second team offense and defense have both scored touchdowns. Well, last night, the Wake Forest football program hosted its annual Alumni Networking Dinner. Former players in all different professions come back for a meal, sit with the student athletes interested in their career field. After their playing days are over, Coach Clawson addressed the room. Some famous alumni from this program, including Des Clark. You might remember him, tight end in the NFL for over a decade. Hoping to have him join the show in the third quarter. You see, everyone was suited up. We were in the football facility yesterday meeting with Coach Clawson in the afternoon. We saw some of the players enter the facility looking dapper, as that pass is complete by Mitch Griffis for a first down. First team offense, Taylor Morin on the reception. Redshirt junior from Virginia moves the chains.
Between Taylor Morin and Keyshawn Williams, they have 2 of the best slots in the ACC. They're kind of different players. They both play that slot position. Morin, I feel like, is really good when he gets the ball in his hands afterwards. Keyshawn Williams, more of a shifty guy, can do things all over the field. You never know which way it's going. But between those two, Donavon Greene, Jamal Banks on the outside, we can't say enough how loaded this Wake Forest receiver group really is.
Griffis under duress. Remember, the quarterbacks wearing green are not technically live. We did see a strip sack from the second team defense on the second team offense as Griffis throws incomplete. But we had a great conversation with Coach Clawson about those slot wide receivers yesterday. You know, Taylor Morin had one Power 5 offer, and it was from Wake Forest, and it was as a gray shirt. So going on scholarship in the second semester after the football season. If it weren't for Wake Forest, you probably would have gone to Dartmouth. As Griffis throws, looking for Donavon Greene. High points it. What a grab by Greene. Inside the 15, Deshaun Jones on the coverage and tackle. Donavon Greene, 6 touchdowns last year. This one is a bang here.
Shows up all over the tape from last year. This guy has strong hands. He knows how to high point and go up and get it. This is what we saw from Sam Hartman to Donavon Greene. It's the same thing that you see from Jamal Banks, the same thing that you see from A.T. Perry. These guys are incredible at going up and getting the ball with those back shoulder throws.
After the 49-yard pitch and catch, a short gain on first down for David Egbe.
And I thought it was funny when we talked to Dave Clausen yesterday that we were talking about, well, when receivers come here, they don't have to block. And I said, that must be music to their ears. He said, well, we don't get the guys that everyone else wants. We kind of get the guys that nobody wants.
Well, everyone wants a piece of Donavon Greene. The pop pass from Griffis to Greene, 12-11 for the touchdown, Team Demon Deacons.
The slow mesh strikes again. He gets those safeties that come up, like you said, a little pop pass. Good job putting it high and outside of that back end line where no one else can get it. And a good job by Donavon Greene. High pointing that football, putting it away before the DBs can make a play on it.
It's a great sign for the first team offense, a 75-yard touchdown drive. Griffis 3 for 4 for 72 yards and a touchdown on that drive. Matt Dennis out for the extra point, and 14-17 Demon Deacons. So you see Donavon Greene last year came back with authority after he missed all of 2021 with an injury. Greene is back. You see the yards per catch. He was right around the top of the ACC leaderboard. Again, Mike, not only is the receiver room talented, but it's versatile, right? You got those 2 slot receivers, and you got a guy like Greene who can take the top.
It really is. On the outside with Donavon Greene and Jamal Banks, they really remind me a lot of each other. When you watch them, they have a lot of the same similar strengths. And then you move to the inside, where Taylor Morin, Keyshawn Williams are, that dynamic between those 4 receivers, it puts so much stress on defenses and defensive coordinators because you can't double the outside because then they're just going to beat you up on the inside. And if you want to do one-on-one, they're going to do exactly what we just saw. They're going to throw it high down the field to Donavon Greene or Jamal Banks. And it just makes this Wake Forest offense so hard to stop.
Michael Kern keeps it in the belly of Drew Pickett, who's had a great first quarter. Tumbles down after the first down gain, 13 or 14.
It's a great job by this 2 offensive line. Big hole, the patience you see. All these Wake Forest runners, they run with patience. They have great vision. And when the hole expresses itself, they make their cut and get upfield.
Big hit applied by Matthew Lasardi. First down again, it's Pickett. Again with room. Drew Pickett with back-to-back first down runs for this second team offense wearing the black jerseys. That one goes for 16.
And look right here, you almost see Michael Kern kind of push him as he's running through. But this is a great job by Pickett. Early enrollee, this is his first time really playing on this field and showing what he's able to do.
3 carries in a row. This one blown up, swarmed for a loss of 1. Chris Marable Jr. in there first.
Second and 11 from the 46-yard line for Black.
Wake Forest trying to make their 8th consecutive bowl game this year. Only Clemson has a longer bowl streak in the ACC at 18 seasons. As Kern completes, it's Jaden Girard for a short gain to bring up third down.
Third and 6 from the 41.
This Team Wake Forest offense has been effective today. Michael Kern at the helm. Right now the second string quarterback. Kern with time. Flushed out of the pocket, throws, batted a couple times, falls incomplete along the sideline. A.K. Kelly, the intended target. That sets up fourth down. Interesting here in the spring game, you're kind of in no man's land at the 41. Looks like they'll keep the offense out there.
Yeah, it's a little easier to make this call as a head coach when there's no consequences. But
when you're playing yourself.
When you're in no man's land right here. If you punt it and it's a touchback, you're only gaining 21 yards. So let's just go for it. Let's see what Michael Kern can do right here. Just need 6 yards to get to the sticks.
Kern will throw. Up the seam. Oh, Kelly almost made an outstanding catch. The redshirt freshman from Greenville, South Carolina, had it in his left hand.
Right here, he's got one-on-one on the outside. The receiver kind of slips inside, so Kern wants to drive it on him, and he puts it in a good place because if he floats it too much, that corner is going to undercut it and can be a potential interception. So good job by Kern right there. Would have been a tough catch, but one you'd like to see him come down with.
This is a great opportunity for those wide receivers on Team Wake Forest wearing the black jerseys, technically the second team offense. Only 4 or 5 guys on the first team offense, so an opportunity for a guy like A.K. Kelly, who's gotten a lot of targets in this first quarter, to assert himself and maybe be next in line or even get some looks this year.
Talk about A.K. Kelly, not bad genes. Dad was a running back at Clemson. Mom was a 4-time All-ACC track and field at Clemson.
Griffis might have gotten his clock clean if they were live, but he completes instead to Donavon Greene. There are 2 flags on the play back at the 35.
Flag is down on the field. Holding. Defense. Number 1. That penalty is declined.
The result of the play, it's first down.
That'll count a 51-yard catch for Donavon Greene.
Donavon Greene does such a good job at the line of scrimmage versus press coverage. Again, he gets out, he steps outside, slips inside the DB. This is real football right here. I mean, this 2 times he's already taken the top off the defense. And that puts fear in defensive coordinators. Like we said, they're going to start going to more of a cover 2 when they know there's a guy on the outside that has that threat to go down the field, because you don't want to give up those big explosive plays.
So another big play for Donavon Greene. 3 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown already. Griffis looking, floats it, end zone. Morin has it, a one-handed grab. Coverage all over him. 2 flags come in. For now, it's a touchdown. Team Demon Deacons.
Holding. Defense. Number 45. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, touchdown.
They pin it on Nick Anderson. Penalty declined, of course, and another touchdown drive for the first team O.
And Taylor Morin had a similar type play last year versus NC State, but that's a great ball by Mitch Griffis. The DB has no idea where that ball is, so just throw it like he's not even there. Throw it over his shoulder. Good job by Morin tracking that ball and coming down with the touchdown. Not an easy catch, one-hander.
What a catch by Morin. It's like an and one. Extra point from Dennis is good. 21-7, Team Demon Deacons. Taylor Morin with a little mullet in the spring.
It's pride of Westfield High School. Same high school that I went to, and Mitch Griffis from right down the road. So we got 2 Northern Virginia kids, 703. Proud to represent him. You talk about Taylor Morin, only offers Dartmouth. Now he just finished with, almost 50 catches, almost 600 yards, 9 touchdowns. One of the better receivers in the ACC. So just a great story of what he's been able to do here. And just back to what Dave Clawson talked about is they find these undersized, these quick receivers that a lot of guys don't want to recruit because they just don't have the measurables. But they feel that they can develop them over time. They can get in the weight room, put a little weight on. And they clearly have a knack for eyeing talent and developing the talent once they get on campus.
You see Coach Confessor taking over the wide receiver room this year after 9 years with Kevin Higgins. Michael Kern back out there to lead the second team offense. Completes to Will Towns, the running back out of the backfield. I mean, they'll recruit guys, Mike, who sometimes, if they're 145 or 150 in high school, Coach Clawson says, because of the system they run, they have the luxury of looking at what a guy can do as opposed to what he can't do.
Right, like a guy like Keyshawn Williams, he said people might not have passed over because they don't want to have him block. He's a smaller guy, But in this Wake Forest offense, it's so many RPOs that they don't put him in a position to block, so he can just excel. So it's a kind of a unique way of identifying the talent right here. Michael Kern, great ball, fitting it in that hole shot to Christian Greene. Again, Northern Virginia, we are just well represented on this Wake Forest team.
I knew you were in the house. That one went for 25. Short gain for Towns out of Jackson, New Jersey. You want to give a shout out to Jackson, New Jersey as well, or just Northern VA?
Just the DMV. And I asked him, I said, I look at your roster, I see a ton of guys from the DMV. Why is that? He said, well, Wake Forest, we have to cast our net a little wider than some of the state schools like NC State and Carolina. We can't just go to Charlotte. We can't just go to Raleigh-Durham. We got to go up to D.C., go to these private schools and find guys that have the academics that can get into Wake Forest. So it's just a different kind of net they have to cast than some of these other schools in the ACC.
That was Deuce Alexander, freshman out of Douglasville, Georgia. Coach Clausen described Wake Forest as a niche school in the Power 5. Kern unloads. Sideline. What a catch! Through contact. A bevy of laundry comes out as A.K. Kelly fights through and makes the grab.
Pass interference. Defense, number 36. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
29-yard gain for A.K. Kelly.
Look at this catch. Getting dragged down. Again, all these Wake Forest receivers have strong hands. Dave Clausen mentioned 60. I think there might be even more guys showing up today that they can feel comfortable with in the fall.
Inside the red zone, the second team offense, again complete. Again, it's A.K. Kelly. You see Michael Kern and Kelly have that connection. Jacoby Gilbert on the stop. A lot of the time you'll see that, though. Guys on the second team really have a strong link. We've seen that with Griffis as well with some of the wide receivers. They've also had to wait their turn behind some elite wide receivers. Kern with time toward the end zone. Incomplete. Christian Greene had it, but his foot was out of bounds to bring up third down.
Kern's pass is incomplete, out of bounds. Brings up third down. Intended receiver was number 29, Christian Greene.
Just over a minute to play in this first quarter. Michael Kern flushed. Kern tucks it and runs. Again, the quarterbacks are not live. So, to be honest, if I were wearing a green jersey, I'd just run every time. What are they going to do? He steps out of bounds right in front of that first down marker to bring up fourth down. And the field goal unit will take the field.
They're not supposed to be live. We saw what happened.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do against a quarterback is just hit the ball out of his hand. And that's what they did for the scoop and score earlier.
Back to kick, number 99, Matthew Dennis.
Matthew Dennis, a 27-yard field goal attempt. Last year, Dennis, 86%, 12 of 14, fourth best in the ACC percentage-wise. Good hold from Ivan Moore, the punter. And Dennis's kick is true.
Is good. Scores now. White 21, Black 29 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So if you're looking at returning production, you know, Bill Conley, our friend at ESPN, does the returning production metrics. Wake Forest is toward the bottom in terms of players they've got coming back. They lose a lot of starters, including some big-time names like A.T. Perry is going to the draft. Ryan Smendy, you see also in the draft, he graduated. But what Coach Clausen has talked about all spring is we're not replacing these guys with freshmen and sophomores. Usually they're third and fourth players. They might be a little inexperienced, but they're not that young, Mike. I mean, that's what happens with this program. You see they also lose some guys in the transfer portal, but really everyone who's now starting has been in the program.
They've been in the program. They've been in the system for a while. They like to redshirt guys here at Wake Forest. So although they're not technically starters, they've been around a lot. They understand what they're supposed to do on offense, on defense. So the numbers don't completely tell the real story. He feels that they're going to leave just where they left off.
This could be big for Wesley Grimes. On the crossing route, he takes that all the way into Team Wake Forest territory. Jamari Glasgow finally pushed him out after a gain of 35.
You know, Dave Clawson talked about this guy, that he's had a really good spring, and you see it right here. Look at the speed. He's a big target, and he's got that burst to go all the way across the field for a huge explosive game.
Game clock under 10 here in the first quarter, and that'll take us to the end of the first 15.
At the end of the first quarter.
Kind of feels like a real game. Like this has been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, it's 21-10. A lot of offense.
Fans, a reminder that the team will be signing autographs on the field after today's game.
I mean, if the weather weren't so nice, you could convince me that this is fall in Winston-Salem. A legit live football game, best on best for Wake Forest, and we've seen some highlights already. More to come.
We've already seen moments why Wake Forest is so excited about Mitch Griffis being their next quarterback. He's got the athleticism. He's got the arm. He's been in the system. You can tell he knows where to go with the football, and all he's got to do is give these receivers a chance to make a play on it, and Donavon Greene has come up big already today, along with Taylor Morin.
And Griffis back out there to lead this first-team offense. First play of the second quarter. Well, dipsy-do shovel pass trying to complete to David Egbe, the running back, falls incomplete. But Griffis on his first two drives, 2 3-and-outs, just 4 yards. Last 2 drives, couple touchdown passes, 134 yards. Took him just 8 plays to score twice.
I didn't anticipate the wire, man.
Second down and 10, again passing to the running back, this time complete to Egbe, steps through a tackle and delivers the punishment just in front of the sticks. Jamari Glasgow with the tackle there for Team Wake Forest, wearing the black jerseys. You saw Zamari Stevenson with the first points today on a scoop and score. And that run's going nowhere. Blown up by Malik Mustafa as the first team defense makes the play to bring up 4th down. I think they'll go for it here.
Lining up quick, going for it again, trying to catch the defense, not ready for this 4th and 2.
Griffis looking. Wake brings the heat defensively. Incomplete. Nearly picked off by Mustafa. What a year number 3 had last season. More of the same here in the spring game. A 4th down stop for the first team defense.
Talk about how Mitch Griffis plays with conviction. Right here you see double clutches it, gives the DB time to make a play on the ball, and that's a good job driving on that football for the breakdown.
Well, it's the first year without divisions in the ACC. Dave Clawson said, I thought the ACC eliminating divisions would make things a little easier for us because they're no longer in the stacked Atlantic. Said the 2023 schedule might be the toughest they've had since they got here a decade ago, starting with Elon week 1, Vanderbilt September 9th. That's Mitch Griffis' 22nd birthday, the sophomore quarterback. And you see as they get into conference play, it is a tough slate at Clemson, at Virginia Tech, at Duke, at Notre Dame, at Syracuse. No easy ones on there. Pass complete as the second team offense is back out there for Wake Forest.
Michael Kern.
No easy ones, but when you really look at it, they host Vanderbilt. Dave Clawson's undefeated against SEC teams. Probably more of a pro-style offense. Hasn't, they have a player that's returned in the system. So how that shakes out will be interesting.
There's Will Towns on the short gain. Remember, Notre Dame also has a new offensive coordinator from the time that he transferred in, Tommy Rees, leaving his alma mater to go to Alabama. So we'll see if Sam Hartman does ultimately lock up that Notre Dame QB1 job. But right now for Dave Clawson and Wake Forest, they feel great about the quarterbacks they've got on the roster still. Michael Kern leading the second team offense. Again, in the green jersey, not live. So Jaylen Hudson makes contact to blow the play dead for a sack in air quotes.
This is a good job by the defensive line, getting penetration. And there we see Jaylen Hudson again. has been more of a special teams player. He's been kind of the top guy, that's exactly what the NFL wants to see. Is they want those special teams players that can also, play defense. But you can make some money in the NFL being an ace special teams player. So now he's kind of, like we mentioned, moving from that into that hybrid role. But 2 good plays so far by Hudson.
Might be the MVP of the spring game early. Kern again pressured, and they blow it dead one more time. Back-to-back sacks for the Demon Deacons defense. Carter Brewers was in there. Looked like Hudson involved again.
Just a lot of havoc up front. Not a lot of opportunity for Kern to step up into the pocket. Nowhere to go, and that's what you often see in these spring games. Is that 2 offensive line sometimes isn't up to speed exactly going against that defense. But Kern hasn't had a lot of time today. Hopefully we'll see him get a little more time so he can show what he can do.
Matthew Dennis again out to punt it away after 2 consecutive sacks for the second-team defense. Ian Versteeg, the freshman, goes down to a knee to make the fair catch at the 25. And we'll get another peek at that first-team Wake Forest offense. A lovely Saturday afternoon in Winston-Salem. Welcome back to Truist Field in Winston-Salem. Back with Mike Lennon, I'm Drew Carter. Early second quarter of the Wake Forest spring game. Team Demon Deacons, first team offense, second team defense. Team Wake Forest wearing the black jerseys, second team offense, first team defense. After a hot start for the D, it's been all O lately, led by Mitch Griffis. Officially QB1 as Sam Hartman transfers to Notre Dame. Last time Wake Forest started a season without Sam Hartman, John Wolford was the last starter. As Griffis has that one blown dead after a gain of 2. It's been a long time since Sam Hartman wasn't either the starter or almost the starter. There was 1 year of Jamie Newman in there, but Hartman started in 2018, Mike. That's how long we're talking about.
It feels like he's been here forever, but you look at Mitch Griffis, you bring up John Wolford, think of Sam Hartman. I asked Dave Clawson, do you like shorter quarterbacks? I was thinking, no way he would ever have recruited me. But I think there's just kind of the quarterback position is moving that way. You look at guys like Bryce Young, but then there's other guys of John Wolford, Gardner Minshew. We saw Brock Purdy last year. It's going to become more and more often. I think you see more guys like Mitch, like Sam Hartman make their way into the NFL. Because in this new era of RPO football, you have to have a quick release. You got to be able to get the ball to hands quick.
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
You see Hartman not the only face in a new place. Brennan Armstrong goes from Virginia to NC State. Will Jurkovec stays in the ACC as well, going from BC to Pitt. Devin Leary now at Kentucky trying to take over for Will Levis, who should be a high draft pick in a couple of weeks. Griffis cuts it loose, trying to find the freshman Versteeg, draws the penalty. Deshaun Jones, the redshirt sophomore from Baltimore, in coverage.
It's just crazy, this new age of the transfer portal right here. This is definitely pass interference, but you'd also like to see Mitch give him a chance to get his hands on that football, because the ref could have called that uncatchable because it was over his hands, but I think that was the right call right there because he engaged with him.
Correction. Pass interference. Defense, number 10. 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
This is a legit game, folks. Those 5 yards, man.
Well, back to the quarterbacks in the ACC. I mean, it's just crazy to think a year ago there was so much hype around these ACC quarterbacks, and now they've all scattered into different places. And I think that's just going to be the new norm, is every year going to look at the TV and see a same face in a new jersey.
That's Wesley Grimes on the catch from Griffis. And again, you saw those faces in the transfer portal. They could have gone after one here at Wake Forest. They knew Sam Hartman was on his way out. He was open about saying, hey, I'm either going to the draft, or if someone wants to pay me a bunch of money in NIL, which ultimately is what he was offered. As Griffis tucks it and runs. Mitch Griffis, they'll blow that one dead around the 40. Number 12 in the green jersey. Thought he might have a house call there, but you saw the wheels.
again, Mitch Griffis. This guy is athletic. I don't know if that was a quarterback draw or he felt that pressure off the slot, but this is an element to his game that he brings that as much as Sam Hartman did for this offense, Mitch Griffis can bring that offense to even a higher level because of that skill set.
That's another catch for Grimes. Kalen Carson on the stop. They are very comfortable with Griffis at the helm of this slow mesh heavy offense. A timeout called by the defense. Team Wake Forest wearing the black jerseys, the first team defense. In the second half, we'll have a running clock, 10-minute third, 10-minute fourth. But in the first half, it feels like a real game. And team Demon Deacons leads by 11. Wake Forest against Wake Forest. Our first look at the 2023 Demon Deacons. And now we welcome in a true legend, not just of this school, but of college sports as a whole. Bob Grant, first black scholarship athlete at a Southern school. Played for Wake Forest starting back in 1964. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. What's it like to be back here at Wake?
Well, it's good now. I had a few differences with Wake Forest for many years, but in recent years, I think we've patched things up, and they've stepped forward and recognized the contribution that this university made to the civil rights movement, because it really does go beyond athletics, with Wake Forest having been the first school in the South in 1964 to field black athletes in college football.
And you won the Super Bowl V. How much have you seen the game change over the years from what the Super Bowl was back then to what it is now?
Well, the game has changed tremendously as personalities, which, Mike, personalities have changed. During the time that I played, we were paid, of course, and paid relatively well, I would say. But we may have been role models in some instances, but we were not celebrities. Today, the game is a much safer game, but the players have become celebrities. And as far as interaction with fans and the people who make it possible for these games to exist, celebrities are not what's needed all of the time. Sometimes you need people who can relate more to the fans.
And Bob, after your playing days were over, we know you're instrumental in the player union, one of the first CBAs ever. I know you helped sign that. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in that capacity?
Well, in 1968, I was on the committee that formed the NFL, our union, the NFL Players Association. We were an association before then. In 1968, we became a bona fide union. And the union has done very well, but it has not done as well as it could have done in some instances, which is why we turned around as retired players, myself and a few other players, and sued Gene Upshaw a number of years back, just before he died, for improper use of our images. And in that one, we were awarded, I think, about $26 million. So aside from being an athlete, and well, presently I'm chairman of the board for the Retired NFL Players Congress.
Well, as a NFL player, thank you for being a trailblazer and all you've done for us that came after you and representing that shield.
Okay, go Deeks.
All right, that's Bob Grant. Thanks so much for joining us here at the spring game. First look at the 2023 Demon Deacons, and you're looking at one of the best Demon Deacons of all time. You know, the history here is so cool to see. And you know, he's right, Mike. It goes beyond football. You know, 1964, to be frank, not that long ago, for Wake Forest to become the first Southern school with black scholarship athletes. It wasn't just Bob. His teammate Butch Henry also integrated the Wake Forest football program, and want to send our best to Butch Henry. Hope he's in good health, as well as all of his loved ones.
Gain of 1 on the play. That brings up third down.
Michael Kern leading this second-team offense for Team Wake Forest, trailing by 11 midway through this second quarter. Drew Pickett on the carry, freshman out of Alabama. That's a solid carry. Takes him near the marker, and that is a first down for Team Wake Forest.
Run a draw on third and long, and you're able to convert. A lot of times right there, you're just trying to punt and flip the field, but to be able to get that conversion, stay on the field, is what you're going to want to see if you're Dave Clawson.
Kern on the keeper, throws across the field. A nice pitch and catch complete to Deuce Alexander. So the kids are all right for the second-team offense, the freshman running back Pickett and the freshman wideout Deuce Alexander.
That's what I find really interesting about this slow mesh RPO system is a lot of times in RPOs you usually just run like a slant or you run an out or a hitch. It's very basic, but there's so much they can do off of it. They have a whole route tree of what comes off of it, which makes it so hard on the defense. You can't have it both ways. You can't stop the run and stop the pass. It just puts them in conflict at all times.
No gain on the play brings up second.
You know, there is a secret sauce here, Mike, that makes their RPO different from everybody else's. I know you're fascinated by it. I mean, if you had to put your finger on it, what makes this offense so different and so successful?
I think that it's how they play with that tempo after the snap. It makes the defense not be able to be instinctive. As a linebacker, you can't just hit the hole because if you do, they're going to throw it right behind your head. And if you sit back, then they're going to give up, 4 or 5 yards. And over time, throughout the course of the game, that wears on a defense. So the main thing is you just can't win on the defensive side. And that's a huge part of the game, but they also have a good drop-back game. It's not like they're running the slow mesh on every single play. They run real concepts, real pass game, and they get everyone involved. Right here, you got a little kind of a deep slant trying to stop him before he gets to that linebacker and sit him down in the hole. That's Deuce Alexander.
There's Warren Ruggiero, offensive coordinator for Wake Forest. He's been here for a decade. I think a lot of their success is also owed to that continuity, right, Mike? We mentioned that earlier. Adi Confessor, wide receiver coach. First real change they've had on the offensive staff since Dave Clawson got here 10 years ago.
And that just speaks to the culture and the guy that Dave Clawson is, that these coaches want to stay here. A lot of times, if coaches are unhappy with the head man, they look to get out, but they're content with staying under his leadership. And he's just done such a good job. I mean, you think of him and Dave Dorn and Dabo Sweeney, kind of the longest tenured guys here. And Wake Forest, for being a small school, small private school, they're on the national stage now because of what Dave Clawson and Sam Hartman have really kind of put them on the map.
Mitch Griffis at the helm of this first-team offense, starting inside their own 20. Griffis, before he threw, got touched. And again, wearing that green jersey, that's a sack. They think it's an interception. First-team defense, Deshaun Jones holds on to it, but that is a sack. Kevin Pointer.
And when you play in this Wake Forest offense, you got to be used to throwing in kind of that muddy pocket because of the way that they pass protect and the way they run that slow bash. Sam Hartman, it was incredible how many times guys would be hanging on him. He wouldn't be able to step into this throw, and he'd still make it. So that's something Mitch Griffis is going to have to do. And he hasn't had a ton of live reps of it. He's not getting hit here. He doesn't get hit in practice. He did play against VMI and a little bit throughout the season. But there's a difference between practice reps and game reps when you can really get hit. So he'll have to get used to throwing in that kind of that muddy, that dirty pocket when you can't really step into the throw.
Brings up
That's a nice pass to Jaden Gerard right on the money. Brings up third down. Griffis looks. Griffis fires up the sideline. Great timing for Wesley Grimes. And there you see the chemistry between a couple of guys who have waited their turn. They've played a lot together on the second and third team. That one goes for 32.
It is truly rinse and repeat here. You got Donavon Greene, A.T. Perry, Jamal Banks. It doesn't matter who it is. Here it's Wesley Grimes. Put it on that back shoulder. Put it up high. Let him go make a play for it.
Griffis again, a little sidewinder throw again to Grimes, again complete to the sophomore from Raleigh.
And Wesley Grimes, this is the guy that Dave Clausen mentioned, and that's a great job. He's looking over his inside shoulder, sees the ball in the air, adjusts, still able to track it. That's a lot harder than he made it look.
And Griffis throws a nice ball. Team Demon Deacons on the move. There's the mesh, like maybe a little miscommunication, but it leads to a 2 or 3 yard gain for Tate Carney, redshirt freshman from Davie County, the neighboring county here in Forsyth. Last name Carney rings a bell for Wake Forest fans, I'm sure. His older brother Cade, a 2-time captain for the Deacs, ran for 1,000 yards in 2018. Griffis on the keeper. Interesting to see where they spot this. They can't contact the quarterback. And it's 4th down. Jacob Roberts was flying by him.
No gain on the play, brings up 4th down.
So on 4th down, we'll get a change of possession. Team Demon Deacons will give it back to Team Wake Forest. We might be past the punting stage of today's spring game. So the second team Wake Forest offense will take over just inside their own 20-yard line. Team Demon Deacons leads by 2 touchdowns. Michael Kern at the helm of the second team offense for Wake Forest today in their spring game. Mitch Griffis on the other side, new QB1, taking over for Sam Hartman. Mike Lennon, both these guys have been rock solid today.
Yeah, I think Michael Kern's exactly what you're looking for in that kind of backup role. He's smart, he's athletic, he's going to be good with the football. And then Mitch Griffis, I wanted to see him in person, but I'm telling you right now, Drew, when the season's over, outside of Drake May, do not be surprised if Mitch Griffis has some of the top numbers in the ACC.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, the kid can play. This scheme, these receivers, he's going to put up Sam Hartman-like numbers.
All right. I like that. I think there might be some folks in Tallahassee and Raleigh and Pittsburgh who are saying their guys might have better numbers. But, look, I mean, we were talking about this before. His Kern throws incomplete on the jump ball. He was trying to find A.K. Kelly. Good coverage from Devon Patterson. And we have an injured Demon Deacon down near the 50.
Safety drives on this ball. This is one that you would like to see Kern get over there a little quicker. Just a hard landing. We talk about this new turf. We were hoping it would prevent injuries. So far today.
It's a little more cushion, but it's not like a ball pit. You know, if you hit it that hard, you're probably going to feel it. That's A.K. Kelly, who's had an outstanding day today. Kelly been a prime target for Michael Kern. 6 catches for 69 yards, leading the way for Team Wake Forest. But going back to the quarterback conversation, I feel like, you know, nothing would surprise me from Wake Forest this year, because did Hartman make the system? Did the system make Hartman? Of course, there's going to be elements of both as we get a big pop here for Will Towns. And Will Towns is chugging into the open field. Will Towns with a touchdown for Team Wake Forest. 81 yards for the redshirt sophomore. We got ourselves a game here, partner.
This is great to see that these running backs stepping up. I mean, that was one of the questions we had. Who is going to be the number 2 running back now that Christian Turner, now that Quinn Cooley left in the transfer portal? We've seen the young freshman, but we're also seeing what Will Towns can do. I mean, that was tremendous speed right there to get the edge and take the distance.
Matt Dennis on for the extra point. Will Towns last year, 12 carries for 71 yards total. That one went for 81 yards. And a touchdown for Team Wake Forest.
Right there, you see Justin Ellison give him a pat on the butt. Look at this. He has great vision, steps up inside, and then is able to bounce it to the outside. Beats the DBs and uses his speed that they can't catch him. With the track finish. Again, here's that slow mesh you see. Requires that vision, requires that patience. But when he hits the corner, we see how fast he is able to break the tackle, finish in the end zone.
All the way up the hill behind the end zone. By the time we get to the fall, that hill is going to be filled up. Wake Forest home field advantage has been outstanding lately. They're 20-4 here at Truist Field in the last 4 years. Griffis, QB1, throws complete. As the first team offense is back out there, Wesley Grimes makes another grab. He's had himself a solid day. That's his 6th catch. He's above 80 yards today. But that slow mesh, Mike, I feel like we think about it and how it helps you in the pass game, but it helps in the run game as well, doesn't it?
Of course. Because there's always the option of the pass. So it doesn't allow the defense to play fast and come downhill and attack because there's the threat of giving the big play over the head.
Gavin Ellis, the tight end, couldn't haul that one in. You got to give so much credit to the offensive line and really the entire offensive staff here at Wake Forest, because with the slow mesh, you'd think they'd roll up ineligible man downfield penalties. They really don't. That's complete to Jaden Gerard for a first down. Nick Tabaka is the offensive line coach for the Demon Deacons, and what they do with that slow mesh is really unlike anything else you'll see in college football, even 10 years later. Solid run here for David Egbe. Let's go back. Watch Griffis' hand on the follow-through. He hit his own lineman. You never want to see that.
But that's what we're talking about. That's what he's going to have to get into. That's a real live rep right there that we saw Sam Hartman make the big play in crucial situations when you got that guy right in your lap. Right there, you see Mitch step up in the pocket. And that's beneficial for him to get these real game-like live reps. But you don't want to see him, hurt his thumb, hurt his hand. But it'll prove valuable that if he's able to make those type of throws in the season when it really matters, that's not easy to do.
You ever do that, Mike?
Oh, yes.
Hit your finger on the offensive lineman helmet?
That happens a few times, and it does not feel good.
Yeah, Griffis probably a couple inches shorter than Sam Hartman, who wasn't the biggest guy in his own right. Griffis back to throw on 3rd and long, and they'll blow that dead. Look out. Green jersey means he's not live. Kendron Wayman applied the pressure.
Yeah, I know that feeling a little too well when you're shaking it a little. Not what you want to see right here, though. You don't want to see him getting checked out by the trainers. Good play by Kendron Wayman, but hey, come on, man. This is our starting quarterback. It's not that important. You got there. We know it. Coaches know it. Good play. Don't get near the guy in the green.
The way Coach Clausen put it to us is, we're not in the market of buying 4- and 5-star quarterbacks like see some schools are, especially now, the transfer portal and NIL. But he said, it's worked out okay for us. I'd say so. They've been in the top 10 each of the last 2 years.
Yeah, you think of the guys that he's had since he's been here. John Wolford has had a great NFL career, an undersized guy that typically you don't see, those measurables make it in the NFL. Has been the backup for the Rams for the past couple of years. Then they had Jamie Newman, who transferred out, and now Sam Hartman, and comes Mitch Griffis. So he's done a good job evaluating talent, finding guys that fit in the system, and has really developed them into good players.
An incredible eye for talent. Wake Forest was the first school to offer Justin Fields, and he also offered Russell Wilson back when Coach Clausen was at Richmond, when Wilson was in 8th grade. That's a seed. Kern completes to Deuce Alexander. Another nice catch for the freshman from Georgia. This one goes for 18.
and we talk obviously a ton about the slow mesh, but this is another concept that you see them run a lot. Is like the quarterback looks to the left, and if it's not there, then it's a built-in rollout to the right. And that's actually the play that Mitch Griffis threw the touchdown to Taylor Moran last year against VMI. Another unique kind of scheme that you don't see a whole lot of, that it seems like it's a version of the RPO where you're reading something, if it's not there, then there's another built-in play behind it.
That time incomplete, trying to find A.K. Kelly. A lot of hand fighting between Kelly and Cody Cater. A solid afternoon for Michael Kern. Again, the first and second quarter, standard game clock. Second half will be a 10-minute third and fourth with a running clock. Kern today, over 200 yards, 17 of 27. That one should have been complete, but is dropped along the sideline.
And right here, I mean, we've got 36 seconds before that play. In a game situation, you're just going to want to get into field goal range, whatever that kicker's distance is, whether it's the 35, the 30, the 25, just get into that range so you can go into halftime with those 3 points and possibly double up. You know, if you're returning after halftime with the ball, you got a chance to double up and turn it into a two-possession game.
We'll keep it on the ground here with Drew Pickett on third and long. And that could take us to the end of the first half. So a lot of action, a lot of big plays here in the first half, a lot of scoring. It's Team Demon Deacons leading by a touchdown. That's the first team offense led by Mitch Griffis and the second team defense. Welcome back to Winston-Salem. We're Team Demon Deacons on top of Team Wake Forest in the 2023 spring game here at Truist Field. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Saturday. Mike, Drew, glad to be back with you. And, Mike, more of the same from what we expected for Wake Forest, which is a lot of passing and a lot of points.
Yeah, they're throwing the ball all over the yard. These receivers have shown up. It's been Donavon Greene, but it's also been Wesley Grimes, which is great to see. What I want to see, does Mitch Griffis take the field again? Banged up his hand a little bit. Are we going to just see Michael Kern, or are we going to see Mitch Griffis again?
Yeah, Griffis hit his hand on one of his offensive linemen's helmets, and he has been running this first-team offense as expected. The new QB1 in Winston-Salem after Sam Hartman moved on to South Bend to take over at Notre Dame. Griffis phenomenal in the first half. Michael Kern solid as well. And Team Demon Deacons wearing the white jerseys in front by a touchdown. That's the first team offense, second team defense. Team Wake Forest in the black jerseys. First team defense, second team offense. As the running clock starts here in the third quarter, 10 minutes on the clock to start. It'll be the same in the fourth. We check out the game summary, what happened in the first half, which was real football, folks. It was tackle football. The clock mirrored what you'd see in a fall game. 15 minutes in the first, 15 in the second. See the numbers from Griffis and Kern, the two starting quarterbacks today, and Donavon Greene with a couple big receptions, including a touchdown, leading the way from a receiving perspective.
Yeah, in these spring games, there's always the good and the bad. I mean, we're talking almost 500 yards of passing between the two offenses, but what that means is Brad Lambert's defense has also given up that much, and they struggled last year against the pass. So from the offensive standpoint, for Mitch Griffis, this is exactly what you want to see. But we want to see this Wake Forest defense be able to show that they're not just an offensive school, that they can play defense too.
Yeah, Coach Clausen did say that at one of their most recent spring practices. The thing about intra-squad is everything can be interpreted as good. Everything can also be interpreted as bad, right? So people wanted to see a Wake Forest defensive improvement. It is hard when you're playing this offense. As Kern throws incomplete to Deuce Alexander, freshman out of Georgia who had a busy and successful first half.
First man's pass for Deuce Alexander falls incomplete. Third down and 10.
Later on in this third quarter, after a change of possession, we'll be talking with Desmond Clark, former Wake Forest wide receiver, played tight end in the NFL for over a decade. Inducted into the ACC Legends in 2021. That'll be fun. Also a former Chicago Bear, so I'm sure he and Mike will talk about like deep dish pizza or something. Whistle blown dead before. Check that after the snap. quarterbacks are not live wearing the green jerseys. No contact on the passers. So that'll be a change of possession as it was 4th down for Team Wake Forest. Look at the drone in the spring game. Mike, is this the closest you've ever seen a spring game mirror a real game in that first half?
Well, last week I was in Raleigh for NC State, and they did a similar format, but the weather was nowhere near what it is today. It was rainy and cold, so that was a sloppy football game. But that first half was extremely real, but this second half is going to fly by. I mean, two 10-minute running clocks, it's going to be over before.
It's going to fly just like that drone, pulling out all the stops for the spring game today. It's Mitch Griffis back in there. Maybe it's to the surprise of some. His first pass falls incomplete. Ian Versteeg, the redshirt freshman from Maryland, the intended target.
Versteeg was one of the guys that Clawson made a point that he's had a really good spring. So it's good to see him get some reps with his one offense, and clearly he's proven to the coaches that he belongs with his white team.
Now he cuts it loose. Up the middle. Caught between the hashes by Wesley Grimes. Wake Forest fans will get to know number 81 in a hurry. He's had an awesome day.
Talk about the slow mesh and the safety's coming up too much. You got a quarter safety. He bites on it. Wesley Grimes runs that post route. And Wesley Grimes is making a believer out of me. This guy can play. He looks like the next Donavon Greene, Joel Banks, A.T. Perry. Just another guy that they put on the outside that can make big plays.
Last one went for 39. His longest catch of the day, 7 catches for 121 for Wesley Grimes, leading the team in both. Griffis flushed. Throwing on the run, somehow complete. That's Jaden Gerard, 87 for Team Demon Deacons, wearing the white jerseys to set up 3rd down.
What a throw. Put it right where the only place he could make a play. I mean, that was really good coverage. The guy had him gloved. And also a nice catch by Gerard right there.
3rd down and 6. Griffis flushed and sacked. Kevin Pointer in there first. Kendron Wayman also involved. Not the first time Griffis has been touched today.
Smart man by Kevin Pointer to dap up Griffis after this play. But good job getting that penetration. Mitch is a good athlete, but he couldn't even get away from that one.
So Wake Forest will line up for the field goal. Team Demon Deacons, that is. Ivan Mora out to attempt it from 45. Troy Hoylman, the holder. He is their 3rd or 4th string quarterback. And Mora's kick is on the way, and it is good. So Ivan Mora, the full-time punter, knocks it through from 45. And Team Demon Deacons leads by 2 scores again. Mike, were you surprised that Mitch Griffis was in there for that drive?
That just shows to me that his hand's okay. They wouldn't put him in a situation where if it was not okay, they wouldn't put him back out there. So that's good to see that although he hit his hand on the helmet, he's doing all right. We weren't sure if we were going to see him. You know, I thought there was a chance we'd see Kern with the 1s there and Santino and Marucci with the 2s, but looks like they're sitting with the way it is.
And now we welcome in Desmond Clark, one of the best Demon Deacons of all time, throwing on the headset for us just behind the end zone. Desmond, thanks for joining us. Great to see you. Welcome back to Winston-Salem. I know you were there at the Alumni Networking Dinner last night. What's this weekend been like for you back with the program?
Man, it's been exciting just seeing how this program has grown since I've been here, seeing all these guys and what they're doing and what the program is doing for these guys. This is a different and exciting place to be around, so I'm happy to be back.
So Desmond, I play for the Bears as well. You go from Wake Forest to Lake Forest. also played for Lovie Smith when I was in Tampa. Talk about your time with the Bears.
Man, my time with the Bears, man, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I mean, you know how great the city of Chicago is, and being able to play with the Bears and going to the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl, another NFC championship game. I mean, when you're a winner in Chicago, there's no better place to be than Chicago. So Chicago is always my second home, and every time I go back, the people there still embrace me, and the love is mutual.
Desmond, I want you to know that Mike Glennon was workshopping that line, Wake Forest to Lake Forest, for like the entire week. Getting ready for this.
It's an easy one. It's an easy one to do.
I think it's a little easier for you to walk around Chicago than it is for me. I think the fans have a little different appreciation for you than they have for me.
Yeah, it was a rough go, man. But you know what? It happens. You're not the only quarterback that had a rough go there. So, listen, man, you did what you had to do while you was there. It didn't work out, and as people know, it's not all on the quarterback. But I don't know if everybody knows that, because sometimes they act like it is. But no, I appreciated your time there, and So, hey, I think it's still some people there that'll still buy you dinner.
Well, Desmond, you've done awesome stuff in your post-playing career. I know you had the chance to talk at the alumni dinner last night. What was your message to the current players?
My message to them was first that they're special, and you guys know this. Both of you guys play at a high level. We do things that normal people just not willing to do, the stuff that we're willing to push through, put our bodies through. And I just encourage them to tap into that extraordinary ability that they have and be able to push through life and get to where they want to go, because they've been programmed and they've been wired in such a way that you just can't get in everyday life. So take full advantage of it and go out and get what's ever yours, and make sure that you just don't give no less than 100% trying to get there.
Great stuff, Desmond. Thanks so much for joining us. ACC Legends Class of 2021. Good to have you back in Winston-Salem.
Yes, sir.
It's really cool to see alumni come back and see the program where it is right now, Mike. I mean, this is really a golden age of Wake Forest football as Michael Kern completes the pass to Jaden Girard, who's playing for both teams here, it seems like. That is the first team offense. Check that, Griffis is still in there at quarterback. But, I mean, this Wake Forest recent era is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, I almost feel like this might be a poor analogy, but I'm sure, Drew, you probably get this a lot. It's like Drew's the kind of guy you want your daughter to date. I feel like Wake Forest is the kind of school you want your kid to go to. He's got good academics. They got Dave Paulson. I think parents are proud to send their kids to a school like this.
It's really one of a kind. Dave Clausen was telling us as the third quarter under a minute now. It's really the only liberal arts school that plays Power 5 football. It's the smallest enrollment in the Power 5, just over 5,000. I mean, there are obviously advantages, great academics, but they can also make it a little tougher to recruit. And what they have done the last few years has been simply stunning. Dave Clausen is actually the first head coach to have a winning record at Wake Forest since P. Head Walker, who went 77-51-6 from 1937 to 1950. You'll get 8+ win seasons at Wake Forest. Clausen has 4. All other coaches combined have 6. So he is making history consistently here.
I think I need to bring that fun fact home to my 6-year-old son. I think he would like the name P-Head.
P-Head Walker, yeah. DC P-Head Walker. He's still the winningest coach in Wake Forest history, P-Head is, tied with Jim Grobe. He actually was good friends with Arnie Palmer, of course, a Wake Forest alum, and tried to get Arnie Palmer to come out for the football team as well. New quarterback out there for Team Wake Forest is Santino Marucci. His pass to Deuce Alexander falls incomplete. So Marucci, the redshirt sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida, top recruit in the class of 2021 for Wake Forest. His first action today in the spring game.
Yes, it looks like he's actually he came in as a quarterback, switched positions, and now he's back at quarterback. So this is a good opportunity to probably get his first real reps in this offense.
Final snap of the third quarter is a big run for Team Wake Forest. Mason Andrade, a redshirt freshman out of Massachusetts, has the first down. And that takes us to the end of the third. Lovely Saturday afternoon in Winston-Salem. Football is back at Wake Forest.
Of the third quarter.
The rich get richer. They're so deep at this wide receiver position at Wake Forest. Wesley Grimes, right now, the number 5 receiver, would probably be the top 1 or 2 at a lot of ACC schools. Comes in from Raleigh, the top-ranked receiver in the state in his class, and he's truly showing out today. And then Donavon Greene picking up right where he left off last season. Goes up and gets it. We've seen a lot of this in traffic. And then finishes it with the touchdown. Haven't even seen Keyshawn Williams. Haven't seen Jamal Banks. Saw a little bit from Taylor Marin. And then we're also missing Walker Merrill, the transfer from Tennessee. So this room is deep. And they just keep producing them here.
Yeah, half their top 6 really has done nothing today. 2 of them aren't even playing. And I think we're still going to walk away incredibly impressed by this Demon Deacons receiving corps as Mason Andrade hauls it in. The running back out of the backfield. You know, A.T. Perry should be probably a day 2 draft pick in the draft in a couple weeks, and Wake Forest has reloaded again. You think about some of the receivers who have come through here lately: Sage Surratt, Greg Dortch, Jacory Roberson, Kendall Hinton, who's played some quarterback in the NFL, Alex Bachman. I mean, they are loaded. And at a school where, again, sometimes they don't recruit the blue chippers like the other Power 5 schools do, the wide receiver talent they've gotten has been as good as anybody in the ACC.
Yep, I was fortunate enough to play with Alex Bachman a few years ago for the New York Giants. Great guy. And then Taylor Hinton, you mentioned. I remember that game, the COVID game.
That's right.
When I think all he did was throw a couple receiver screens, and it was a tough day at the office for him. But playing quarterback in the NFL is hard enough. I can't imagine doing it here.
And speaking of recruiting, they have turned in a pretty solid 2024 class so far. It is really early, but in the 2024 team rankings that Craig Hubbard of ESPN posted Thursday, Wake Forest was number 16 in the country, 3rd in the ACC behind FSU and Clemson. Santino Marucci throws. That falls incomplete. I mean, this is a team that hasn't really finished above 40th or so since we've tracked recruiting going back to 2006. By the way, that will go down as a sack, so a loss of 5. But, Mike, even though it's early, they're recruiting really well.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny when Coach Clausen told us they'll have a guy that they offered. He's a 3-star, and then all of a sudden an SEC school offers him, and miraculously he's a 4-star. Or it'll be the opposite. Right. The guy will be a 4-star, he'll commit to Wake Forest, and he'll drop to a 3-star. So it's all about developing the players. Those rankings don't matter at the end of the day.
Marucci. Complete. Nice pass to Deuce Alexander along the boundary. Christian Masterson on the tackle. There you see Justice Ellison, RB1 last year for Wake Forest, expected to fill that role again this year. We mentioned the turnover in the backfield. Lost a couple guys in the transfer portal. Did Wake Forest, including Christian Turner, who is really the 1B to Ellison's 1A last season. He's at Indiana. Ellison's still here.
And I'm a big fan of Justice Ellison. This guy is an all-purpose back. He can play on all 3 downs. He's great running the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. But one of my favorite, most underrated parts of his game is his ability to pick up blitzers and pass protection. That's what every quarterback loves, is when you look out there and you're in a shotgun and you see Justice Ellison, you know you're going to be picked up in pass protection.
First down for Marucci. Throws on the run. Right on the money. A touchdown, Wake Forest. Deuce Alexander. A highlight reel score of 31 yards. And Team Wake Forest has cut it to 4.
This is the same play that we talked about earlier. Look to the left and roll out to your right. Great job by Marucci putting it right on Deuce Alexander. And he's able to make 2 guys miss. Dive into the end zone.
The Deuce is loose. 6 catches, 72 yards. And that touchdown as the clock stops at 6:10. Caleb Carlson out for the extra point. Santino Marucci, he's got the flow of a guy named Santino Marucci. Fits the bill. Carlson adds the point after. And with the clock winding again under 6 minutes, it's a 3-point spring game.
Great job by Marucci right here, throwing on the run, puts it right on the money, and to be able to put his foot in the ground, break the tackle, make a guy miss, and then he deserves that little spin right there at the end. Early enrollee, nice job.
So, Mike, do you think at this point the competitive juices start to flow and these guys really want to win? Probably not.
I don't know if they're playing for anything. They're probably looking forward to some time away from football, finish up exams here, you know, go home for a little bit, head to the beach, and then when they get back for that summer school, it's all ball again.
Yeah, maybe there's a summer vacation vibe today, last day of school. Michael Kern back out there. Kern now at the helm of the first team offense, Team Demon Deacons. His pass is complete. It's Wesley Grimes again.
Wesley Grimes with the reception.
First down for Team Demon Deacons. It's our first real look at the 2023 Wake Forest football team, which opens August 31st against Elon. Kern fires incomplete, trying to find Grimes one more time. Jamari Glasker with the coverage. Redshirted last year. They're excited about him entering this season. Let's look again at that schedule, which Coach Clausen described as maybe their toughest since they took over here a decade ago. Mike, what stands out to you from that slate?
You know, start off the year with Elon school down the road, then Vanderbilt. I mean, anytime you're paying an SEC school, you never know. Old Dominion,
unless you're Dave Clausen, then you do. He never loses to them.
At Old Dominion, the third game, if you remember last year, the Hokies got knocked off. But the back end of the schedule, that's where it starts getting really tough. At Clemson, at Virginia Tech, home versus Pittsburgh and Florida State, and then it's a tough stretch there at the end, NC State, and of course Notre Dame, and finish it off at Syracuse. So senior day comes early when the Wolfpack come into town, but I have confidence in Coach Clausen no matter how many guys they have to replace.
Kern spins it. What a grab. Wesley Grimes. Have a day, young fella. 18-yard pitch and catch for Grimes. That is his 10th catch of the day.
We've seen it once, we see it again. Good job at the line of scrimmage, beating the defender. And that's just my guy versus your guy. I'm going to throw it up, you make a play. And these guys keep coming down with it.
157 yards on the afternoon for Wesley Grimes. And it's Jaden Gerard, another Wake wide receiver we've seen a lot of today. No Walker Merrill, Tennessee transfer. No Jamal Banks, who got 9 touchdowns last year. Yeah, that might be the strongest part of the team yet again. Kern steps up, gets touched from behind. That'll go down as a sack for B.J. Williams.
B.J. Williams will be sacked for the black team. Third down.
So 3rd down and 10 with the running clock. Team Demon Deacons wearing the white jerseys. First team offense, second team defense. They lead by 3 here. So still a chance for Team Wake Forest. Michael Kern after the pump floats it up the sideline. He was touched. He was touched early. Again, it's back-to-back B.J. Williams sacks. That could have been a touchdown for Wesley Grimes.
Heck of a job by B.J. Williams, but Wesley Grimes beats him on the double move, the out and up right here. You'll see just that gets the edge right there. I don't know.
That was close. That was close. It's the 7th sack for Team Wake Forest, and back-to-back sacks for B.J. Williams. Ooh. I mean, Mike Lennon, if you're in this spring game, you're protesting that call. I know you are.
I mean, come on. They're hitting the quarterback. And now we call it down right there. Get a chance for Wesley Grimes to put a cherry on top of this game.
I think Dave Clausen is part-time coach, part-time referee today. He was helping out, determine when to blow plays dead. That one was right on the threshold. Now we got ourselves a clutch situation here, Mike. You see the clock is stopped. Maybe a 2-minute drill for Team Wake Forest. Troy Hoylman is in there, the quarterback. We're seeing him for the first time. Hoylman on the slow mesh, hands it off. Nason Andrade with the short carry.
Nason Andrade on the carry for the White team. Second and 9.
We'll see how live they treat this. With under 90 seconds to play now, Team Demon Deacons leading by 3. I'll keep it on the ground again. Andrade chopped down. A nice defensive play from Christian Masterson. So Hoylman, the 4th quarterback we've seen today. Griffis, Kern, Marucci, and now the redshirt sophomore from North Carolina. Again, it's Andrade. A little tryout for the redshirt freshman. A lot of flux in the backfield for the Demon Deacons this year. No Justice Ellison today. We've seen the whole stable of running backs for Wake Forest and for Team Demon Deacons. That looks like it might be the final play of this 2023 spring game. And Dave Clausen will move to 24-0 all-time as a head coach in spring games. Team Demon Deacons with a 27-24 win over Team Wake Forest. Well, Mike Lennon, what's your big takeaway from this spring game?
My takeaway is that this receiving group is so deep and they have so much talent on the outside that between the scheme, these receivers, and his skill set, Mitch Griffis is going to have a huge year.
You like what you see from him?
I mean, really do.
I think his arm looks good, doesn't it?
His arm is live. He's accurate. He's decisive with his throws. I see why Dave Clausen is so confident and why this was a plan all along, that he was going to take over this year regardless of what Sam Hartman decided to do. So I'm excited to see what he does this year. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and he's going to be a name that's talked about a lot amongst ACC country.
Griffis today, 19 of 29, 315, and 2 touchdowns. He was impressive. His arm looks almost elastic, and he's got some good wheels, too.
He does. He's got plays he can make with his feet, but these are going to be his best friends. When you got guys that you can just throw it up to and make a play, it makes it so much easier. And this isn't even to mention what those receivers are going to do to help Justice Ellison in this run game, is that teams are going to have to protect their corners and play with deep safeties, and that's going to open up the box to run the ball. So this offense is going to be tough to stop, but what I do want to see, I mean, that was a lot of yards against this Wake Forest defense that finished last in the ACC in passing. So the defense is going to have to show that they can slow offenses down, because otherwise Wake Forest is going to have to put up huge numbers to win games.
Yeah, Donavon Greene and Wesley Grimes both over 100 yards today. Deuce Alexander and A.K. Kelly on the other side, solid as well. Here's the alma mater for Wake Forest.